Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, it's a pretty interesting weekend. It started off, unfortunately, USC losing to our arch rivals, UCLA, and losing pretty bad. Well, the offseason will be coming soon, and I'm just hoping that Lincoln Riley gets on the road and those assistants and bring in some defensive players, some defensive secondary guys that can tackle. And the guys there, they should be doing push-ups and pull-ups and going to the weight room because you got to start tackling. My Buffalo Bills, that's why I'm all lined up in Buffalo Bills today because they look like their old selves, you know. They started the season scoring big points, and over the last 6 or 7 weeks, people kind of peaked them, got kind of understood what they were doing, which really wasn't that hard to figure out if you ask me. And this week, they replaced their offensive coordinator and play caller. And look what they did. For the first time in 6, 7 weeks, they scored over 30 points. And I think the rest of the season looks much brighter than I thought it was going to look. And then there's this talk about Brock Purdy. Is he elite? This morning on TV was a big debate about elite, and he's not elite, he's elite. First of all, what difference does it make if he's elite? Let me tell you a story. First of all, he's a winner. I'll tell you a story about a guy named Earl Morrall. This guy was drafted number 1 by the Niners. A couple of years later, they traded him to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh almost promptly traded him to the Lions. The Lions traded him to the Baltimore Colts. So he was basically a backup quarterback. Well, in 1968, Johnny Unitas had an elbow injury. He got in the last preseason game. Earl Morrall came in. Earl Morrall took that team to a 13-1 record, took them to the Super Bowl, was voted MVP. 2 years later, in the Super Bowl, once again, he's a backup. In the Super Bowl, Unitas goes down. Earl Morrall comes in. He's, till this day, the first time any quarterback came off the bench to win a Super Bowl against the doomsday defense, Dallas Cowboys. But he's still a backup. He ends up in Miami. In 1972 in Miami, 5th game of the year, Bob Greasy gets hurt. Who comes in? Earl Morrall. He quarterbacks. He starts. He wins 11 straight games. 11 straight games right to the Super Bowl where they brought Bob Greasy back. And they are, to this day, still the only undefeated team in football. Was Earl Morrall elite? Nobody would call Earl Morrall elite. He was a career backup. But what he was a winner. And that is what Brock Purdy is. He's a winner. When you give him the weapons around him, he's just as good as any of these guys. He can't do the things that Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh does without the weapons. He can't do those things that they do. But with the weapons, he's every bit as good as every one of those guys. Brock Purdy, my 49er quarterback. I'm just saying. Hey, you might get the 49ers and the Bills in the Super Bowl. Oh, wouldn't that be great?